Hey, welcome back to Salt, Pepper, and don't forget the sugar. This is episode number 3. Uh, Pepper, he got lost somewhere between Alabama, checking in on that transfer portal, and West Virginia. I'm not sure if he didn't have enough money to pay the tolls coming
Uh,
back, or maybe he got quarantined for 14 days. But I
well, I'm pretty sure he went out to take a shit and the hogs ate him. I'm
have
almost certain.
very possible. So, we obviously we hope to have him back next week, uh, and obviously if he's in quarantine, he's probably in pretty good hands. I mean, Christy's a nurse, so I'm sure she can take care of him and make sure he's eating and drinking and
He ain't missing the meal.
and doing all the things he needs to do. But again, I'm Jamie Lambert from Point Pleasant. Got Ryan Milliken from Wellston. Today we're going to discuss youth baseball, youth softball opening back up. The governor in Ohio, had a start date of May 26th for practices and whatnot to begin and start again, which then obviously opens the door for summer leagues and obviously what myself and Ryan have been a part of a lot is travel baseball, tournament time, tournaments, playing over here in West Virginia and playing some of the local tournaments in Ohio, and there's a lot of guidelines that have been set out that parks have to follow, tournament directors have to follow, teams have to follow. But first of all, I'm going to turn it over to you, Ryan, and basically, what is, in your opinion, what is the importance of youth baseball, youth softball?
Well, I like to win as much as anybody. I mean, I'm highly competitive. But when we're talking rec area sports, and whether it's baseball, softball, basketball, soccer, right, whatever you're doing, it's the fundamental thing. If you don't have fundamentals, I mean, you're going to lose every game. The kids are not going to improve. So to me, that is your first stepping stone. Is the recreational leagues, and that's why they are so important. I mean, you know, a lot of uh, you take back that Wellston team that we had. They got a lot of recognition for how good they was, but they didn't start out being that good. They started out 6 years old in the rec league, and they learned the fundamentals. And they build on that, and that's why the importance of rec ball. Um, it's more important than the travel stuff. The travel stuff, I will admit, is more fun for everybody, kids, parents, the whole 9 yards. But it's very pivotal for these kids to start young in the rec league, just for the fundamental standpoint. And this is really, I hope we can figure it out. But man, these guidelines are going to be tough.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll get into the guidelines in a minute. But to touch on the fundamental stuff and the rec league stuff, and I've always been a obviously an avid supporter of travel baseball, and as well as softball. Uh, but the importance of the recreation league is by far astronomical compared to the travel ball side of it. The travel ball side, in my opinion, what it does is it pushes the better kids at the moment and gives them better competition so they can get better. And I always made the comment that rec leagues make not so talented kids better. They make decent kids better, and it teaches the good athletes to be leaders if it's taught the right way.
Sure.
And then, for the higher notch rec kids to get better, you've got to have the travel ball. I mean, that's the way I've always approached it, and I've always looked at it. With that being said, the better athletes need to still play rec ball, because I think learning the value and the importance of being a leader with the kids that aren't as talented teaches them things that they will learn, that they'll use the rest of their life. But the travel ball is a step up. It's not a, it's not for everybody. I mean, it's tough. It's expensive. Perfect example. We had Eddie Abley a couple years ago, and I use him as an example till I'm blue in the face. He was a right fielder, batted 9th or 10th in the lineup. He has the ugliest dad in the world, but so he's got to deal with that too.
But he's a cuddler.
Well, you may know that more than me.
I do. Unfortunately, I do. Anyhow.
But he set his mind to it that he wanted to play travel baseball. And that kid in 7 months?
He worked his ass off, first and foremost.
Catcher. It could throw a little bit. I could play him at second base. And he was our number 2 hole hitter. Second batting average on our travel team. And like I said, it changes kids. And, still this day, he loves the game of baseball. He works his tail off. But, with that being said, travel baseball is very important. Rec baseball is very important. So during this situation in the season, you kind of, from a time frame standpoint, rec ball, as far as the calendar year goes, rec ball has kind of been missed. So I'm anxious to see what happens as far as do we open up the rec leagues again, or do we just go straight to playing tournaments? And I think I'd like to see a combination of both somehow, because obviously every kid can't play travel ball and can't play in rec all-star tournaments. Or let me rephrase that. Every kid's not ready to do that. Right. Every kid can do it if they want to do it.
Right.
But every kid's not ready to do that. And, I think the bigger issue than these guidelines that are being set out that, people are having problems with. The bigger issue is, how do you make sure everybody gets to play the game of baseball and play the game of softball this summer, and nobody miss out on the year?
So here's my twist on it, and I can go back to my Facebook messages, or actually it's on the post there. And a good friend of mine, Brad McCunn, and Trista Dembo, are actually, we're kind of going back and forth. And Trista hit the nail right. And I talked on the phone earlier. Stony Sickles called me, and we're all looking at the same exact way. Is, gosh, I coached 8U for a long time. How many times do you got to tell a kid, hey, switch your hat, hey, you got the wrong glove. Hey, you got the wrong bat. They're one-track minded. They just want to get out into the field. Now, how are we going to do that with these masks? Do we write names on them? Do we, keep them around our neck? Because I don't know how you're going to keep a mask on a 6-year-old kid. And okay, so are you going to say, well, these kids aren't old enough to, I don't want to say comply. It ain't like they're breaking a law or nothing, but to abide by these guidelines just simply because of age. So do you just play the older kids? But let's be honest, Jamie. I've had some 11 and 12-year-old kids, at 12U that didn't have what some 6 and 7-year-olds did as far as common sense went.
Yeah.
I,
So
I mean,
let's step back to reality of the situation. And
oh, got more. Don't worry.
are we, are, I know this is a bigger question than youth sports, but are we overthinking this too much?
God, this could get religious and political real quick. Man, let's take another step back. When all this stuff come out, people were freaking out, and I understand. I mean, there's a lot of thoughts went through my head too. And they gave us an opportunity at work. They said, "Hey, you can furlough if you want. Your job will be here when you're ready to come back. All that good stuff." I have kids at home that have to eat. All that good stuff. And to me, you got to live your life. I mean, I understand people are dying from it and all that. And I'm not saying it's being blown out more than what it really is. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Thank goodness I haven't got it, so I don't know how bad it is. But we've got, at some point, we've got to be able to live our lives. And we're not helping, whether it's the elderly or somebody our age or even kids, by locking everybody in the house. That's weakening the immune systems. I mean, so the doctors say. Once again, I'm not a doctor, but I don't. I think it's a little bit too much. I think these guidelines, I think they've got to do them, but I think it's a bit too much.
Well, I know that, I was at the Dollar General in Point Pleasant the other day. It's actually been a couple weeks ago now, and there was this gentleman that was in there. He had he had rubber gloves on up to his elbows, and had a mask on. He was probably, I mean, if I'm guessing, mid-70s, and he was struggling to get a couple things out of the freezer. And I caught myself because, I mean, as much as people like to say I'm the biggest prick in the world,
I agree.
Right. But, not to that guy. I mean,
right. I get it.
9 times out of 10, I'm going to help that guy.
Right.
And I caught myself as I went to help him because I was sitting there thinking, okay, where have I been? Whatnot, because I didn't want to pass it on to him.
Sure.
I just feel like, as you said, you got to get back to living your life at some point. And I think, children are the least susceptible to this, from what everybody is saying. And, the flu kills people. Yesterday I had a memory on my Facebook from, I don't know, I think it was 4 years ago, and I'm sure you was probably there. I had to pick Carson up off the baseball field in a puddle of blood.
Yeah.
That, he caught a baseball in the face, and the only time that I've ever let their mother on the field, because I was scared. I mean, trust me, I was scared when that happened. And then
I was there.
Cleaned up and got him sat down, but no matter what you do in life, there is opportunities for something tragic to happen.
Sure.
And I'm not sitting here validating, hey, let's just open youth leagues back up 100% like they were and take a chance of a bunch of kids getting sick. I'm not saying that. I don't know the answer to that. I know what I'm being told listening to the governor speak, not just in Ohio, but in West Virginia. I listened to the guy in New York. I listened to a bunch of them, and they're all kind of saying the same thing. But the death rate that I'm seeing is still lower than the flu rate. And during flu season, obviously, we have a vaccine for that, or flu season could be even worse. But during flu season, we don't go around wearing masks.
Well, then that's I don't know. I'm glad that I think I'm not a Governor DeWine fan by no means. I think he did a really good job at shutting things down pretty quickly. We were one of the first states to act on it, and I think he done a really good job with that. But come on, let's. And I know what they're thinking. You open everything back up, we're all back together, and then it's worse than what it was. But is it though? I mean, we've got to be able to live our lives at some point. We got to go back to normal.
Well, I think polling the people at this point would not be a bad decision. Okay, do we want to just open all this stuff back up with the chance of this happening? And if it happens, then we'll back off. But so here we go. The guidelines that is frustrating everybody. I was supposed to have this printed out and I didn't. But the things that stick in my head: no spitting, no sunflower seeds,
right?
No
shaking hands. That's the one that gets
hands. No high fives. In lieu of shaking hands for sportsmanship, you tip your hat. Coaches wear masks all the time. Kids in the dugout wear masks all the time. When kids are on the playing field, they do not have to wear masks.
That's where the mask thing. Okay, so you take your mask off when you go on the field. When you come back in, what's the odds of an 8U kid getting his mask? Jamie, we've done this.
It's slim to none.
I mean, we've done this for way too many years. I mean, we're not dumb to it.
So, obviously no water coolers, no sharing drinks, which, that makes sense. And I mean, actually, I would recommend that. I mean, not the water coolers as long as you got cups, but I would recommend not sharing drinks regardless. Especially when you're out sweating and whatnot.
Did you hear that, Garrett Brown? No sharing drinks. And that's just a little funny because he'd always come in the dugout and Hunter or Logan Martin or Will would have their Gatorade sat there, and I mean Garrett would just pound it just to get at him, But I mean just finish it completely off. So but yeah, so Garrett, no doing that.
Right. So and then you also look from an equipment standpoint, which means every kid's got to have a helmet. Basically, the way I was reading it, every kid has to have a bat.
Yeah.
And then the most outlandish thing, in my opinion, is the balls are labeled for the defense, so only the defense of team touches the ball. So if we are going that far with guidelines to open back up, and it's pertinent that we go that far, and the state feels like it's pertinent to go that far, then we're not ready to play youth baseball and youth softball yet, because you can't do it that way.
Well, so now we're going to get into helmets and bats. Okay. Even a decent helmet is not cheap. We got a lot of kids. I mean,
cheap helmet's $20.
Right. But okay, so by the time they pay their fee, then they're buying, a helmet and a bat now. Now, granted, you can go to Walmart and pick up a bat for $20 or $30. And that's fine. If that's what you have, that's what you have. Not knocking that whatsoever. But how can you, I mean, we got a lot of kids, and General Mills does a great job at putting money up for the kids. In the Wellston League, I'm not sure in the Jackson or Benton County. I'm not sure, but I know in the Wellston League, uh, Mills puts up money for those kids that can't afford the fee, so that they can play. So I mean, how can you go to the parent and say, "Well, now you got to buy this, cleats? Come on, cleats. Got to buy ball pants." So now a bat, a helmet, it's just gonna make it tough, man. And a lot of these kids, and I've this has been a long a long fight, and me and know the answer, but I hear so many people say, "Well, bats don't matter." Bullshit.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
right.
Right? Let's just throw that out there. Bullshit. Okay, bats do matter. They and 2 years ago, I was in Jeffersonville at a tournament. And Hunter as well as anybody, Jamie. When he's pissed, that's it. That's it. I mean, bad.
And that from his mom, right?
He gets it from his mother.
Well,
So I take his bat, which was it was a drop 12. It was the beast. It was an Easton Beast. And I take that from him. He was hitting some nice line shots, but he just wasn't getting nothing on the ball. And I told him, I said, you need to use Logan Martin's bat. It's an XL, the Beast XL.
which is the
No,
which is the drop 10.
Which is a drop 10. It was a 30-20.
Right.
No. I take his bat, put it in the trunk of my car, won't let him have his bat, made him use it the very next game. He gets up, the very first pitch he sees, he hits about 275 feet. Joe Briggs comes over, brings the ball back, and he's like, who in the hell hit this? And they're all like, Hunter. Well, Hunter's a small skilling team. He always has been. He always will be. Tell me a bat does not make a difference, because, I mean, he went on a tear for 5 tournaments in a row after that with a home run. Had never hit a home run ever before. Bullshit. That's why I say bullshit, people. Bats, man.
But bats, and I will also throw in there, as much a difference that bats make, baseballs do as well.
Oh, yeah. Hit a good diamond ball.
Yeah, and I probably, in the strip mine pond in left field of the Pearl Kaiser, I probably have 10 dozen baseballs, out there.
Yeah.
But as when Connor was 10 and started hitting them, that was one thing he always said, throw me a good ball, throw me a good ball.
Right.
And I was like, hell no, you're it's going in the water. No, I'm not throwing you a good ball.
Equipment matters is what we're trying to get at. And there's no shame in a $30 bat from Walmart, but when your kid is and this is another topic, when your kid is used to using another bat, it's a mind game.
Yeah, and also, I guess I want to clarify that we're making this comment about the bats making a difference. And I know you, as well as myself, as well as any other youth coach that I've ever known, if they have, a $300 bat, and a kid on the team can swing it, they're swinging it.
Everybody's swinging it they can.
It's not like as a coach or a parent, I'm going to say, no, just Connor, just you're using the bat. But that's the side of it a lot of people don't think about, because now some of those kids that aren't able to have those bats are now using that there's so much to these regulations that I mean we could talk about for 4 days, to be honest with you.
Right.
Now the one thing I do like in the regulations is when it comes to spectators, there's actually 2 things. One being no parent is allowed within 6 feet of the backstop. God love Governor DeWine for that.
There you go. Thank you.
And the umpire that's ever did a youth league game is thinking right now, thank goodness that that's in. But the other thing too is you got to be 6 feet away from other family members.
Right.
So, the 8 moms, 9 moms that rally together and think the coach, is making 17 bad decisions and the umpire can't see worth a lick
Right.
are now spread out. So, and in the funny aspect of it, I think that from the standpoint of the kids enjoying the game, that will help the kids enjoy the game because you will have a lot less issues from parents with those guidelines. So I'm going to lobby to keep those guidelines even after this is gone.
Well,
And I shouldn't just say moms, that dads do it too.
yeah, dad's is yeah. I mean, we were always fairly blessed, with the parents that we had. We could pretty much coach kids how we wanted. And that was always kind of nice, but it is, and it's not so bad in travel ball, I don't think, as much as it is at the rec league. But here's the thing. You take a kid like Connor and a Noah Ernst and a Will Briggs and Hunter in the rec league, why in the hell are we going to put time into them kids in practice? The other kids on the team looked up to them for what they did outside of rec. I always kind of use that as a tool myself because some kids learn better from other kids. And I can go back to a kid that used to always, because of Hunter in center field because of his arm. Stewart, Dan Stewart's boy. You know what I'm talking about. Noah Stewart, great kid, by the way. Awesome baseball player too. But he used to always go on and on about Hunter's arm. He's like, why is he play center field? I said, well, because one day we realized we needed a center fielder, and he had speed and he had an arm. So me and Jamie Lambert decided, well, that's going to be our center fielder, whether he likes it or not. And we all know what he done in the outfield over the years.
Well, and one, that comes to mind real quick is we was playing the Black Sox at Athens on Fenway Park, and he was in right field at the time, and fly ball hit to him, and boy, we had some good matchups with the Black Sox.
Yeah, boy.
Well, we took our beatings for a while, and then then we got competitive with them. Great bunch of guys from Jackson. Loved having them to use as a tool for our kids to get better. Having a team that close that we were able to play several times, and but back to the story, fly ball hit, and it was a pretty deep shot to right, and Hunter's little ass set his body up, all 53 pounds of him at the time.
Yeah.
And caught the ball on the run and everything he had, and threw the guy out by like 2 steps at home. And I've used that as an example several times. A lot of people, when it comes to, why is my son in the outfield? Well,
because you need him.
Because I need him in the outfield. Sure. It's not a slam in any way, shape, or form. And I always use Parsons is 6th grader over here at Point, and made the Point middle school team.
Right.
We have one team over here for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and he made the team. And as tryouts started, he was asking me. He was like, when I go in there, Dad, and they say, what position do I play? What do I tell them? And I said, you play anywhere.
Any.
And Carson, who always has something to say, he said, well, I'm not taking the catcher's mitt. And and I said, well, listen, if they need you to catch, you'll catch. But the best way, and if there's any advice I can give any parent that is watching this as from a youth parent standpoint, if
I finish what you're getting ready to say.
let me say it first. If your son or daughter, if you want them to make teams and get playing time as early as possible, they need to learn how to play in the outfield, because that is the easiest way to get on a team. Because when you get to high school level, the junior high level, all the kids play shortstop, all the kids play second base, all the kids pitch. You got 4 catchers. Nobody knows how to play in the outfield. And during the 2.5, 3 weeks of practice, Carson was getting a lot of reps or he was getting some reps at second base. He was probably going to pitch a little, but he was going to start in either center field or left field because he knows how to play there. Is that what you were going to say?
Well, yeah. If you want to play, the easiest way is to the outfield. And you talked about the Black Sox. I remember Coach Ott for the Aces when he threw out that boy, and he comes over after the game, and he's like, "How the hell does that happen?" He said, "At this level, how does that happen?" So then let's flip over, a couple months. Ty Ott comes to play with the Buzz team.
Right.
We're in Beaver playing, and Hunter catches one center field, and I hear Coach Ott setting out. He's a spectator that weekend, and I hear him yelling, "Do not run on him! Do not run on him!" Hunter still uses this one a lot. He likes to talk. That was his big moment. He comes up, crow hop, bam, lines at the home plate, throws the boy out by probably 6 steps. And Coach Ott turns around, third base coach, and says, "You should have listened to me." And that was the funniest thing. And Hunter will still throw it up, but no, parents, the outfield is not a demotion in any way. You need 3 solid outfielders. A good center fielder he's just another shortstop in the outfield. And you really need to talk to your kids about that. Hunter wasn't real thrilled with being in the outfield, but he started getting some notoriety out there. It got to where nobody would run on him no more just because of his arm. And that's because we sat down one day and said, okay, we've got 2 shortstops, just like Jamie was saying. We've got 3 kids that can catch. We need some outfielders. So we decided, okay, with Hunter's speed in his arm, let's teach him how to read a ball in the outfield. And it worked out pretty well for us. So just because your kid's in the outfield don't mean the coach hates him. I can't stand him half the time, even though he's my son. And I know he cost Jamie at least an hour or 2 of sleep, because we always knew what was going to happen was Hunter was the mouth. And once you got him going, then here come Connor, because he felt that he had to defend him. So any given tournament, we're waiting on both of them little bastards to get thrown out.
What was it they called each other?
Oh, shit.
Bear, big bear, little bear,
Little bear and baby bear, or big bear and baby bear.
Yeah, big bear and baby bear. Yeah.
But to go back and have those times again, Jamie Lambert, I'd to go back and play those couple 2 or 3 years of ball, I'd give 20 years of my life away, because those 3 years of baseball.
I will. We'll get into a story at the end when we're ready to wrap it up. And I know we got a little off track talking about it, but talking about everything that we just said is great stories, great memories, brings smiles to people.
And that's what it's about.
But it also, it teaches kids, life lessons that, trust me, when I went to Rio Grande in what would have been the spring of '96, right? No, the fall of '96.
Yeah, you're old.
I know that, and as you can see, I should actually be salt and pepper, actually, if you want to be honest. But when I went there, Uh, I mean, Dad said I was going to be, a school teacher. And, as things progressed, I kind of went a different way, went into business management. And, uh, over the last 3 months, 2 months, 2.5 months, I've realized I've made the right decision because I try to get my two to do homework, on Dojo and Google Classroom and Live Grades and whatever else is going on. Which I appreciate everything the teachers are doing. And actually, over here, it's not tough to follow along with what you got to do and what their expectations are. But uh, I you know, I couldn't have been a school teacher. I would have. I mean, I drink my fair share of beer now. If I was a school teacher, I'd probably go back to. We had a sub in like junior English. I think Miss Crabtree broke her wrist like first day of school or something like that. She fell outside, and we had a long term sub the whole year who was in her cabinet, drinking liquor all day long, and that would have probably been me if I had to homeschool.
I know her. I know her.
But Miss Voorhees, actually.
Miss Voorhees.
Miss Voorhees, yeah.
She kissed
But
me one day, right on the lips.
again, that could be a whole other podcast.
She changed my life, I'll tell you.
But we, back to the point at hand is, everyone right now is scurrying around to get their teams in baseball tournaments, get their teams in softball tournaments, and will try their damnedest to live with the guidelines.
Sure.
For whoever listens to this, and we've had pretty good turnouts on all of them. I mean, not superb, but good.
Right.
What I don't want, and I am, as I said at the beginning, I am an avid travel baseball and travel softball guy. That there's nothing like it. My boys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Parents enjoyed it. I mean, some of the best times of my life. But with that being said, if that is all that happens this summer, a lot of programs are going to suffer from it, from the rec kids losing a year. So not only am I talking, I guess I shouldn't say, not only am I talking to parents, to travel ball coaches, but also whoever's in charge of leagues, is do not just go and say, okay, it's the middle of May, May 26th, we're allowed to practice. And now let's just skip the rec league and go straight to our all-star stuff and find a way to have a rec league, and then get your better kids, your more talent. This is what I always say, because they're not your better kids at age 8 or age 10 or age 12. They are your more athletic and gifted kids at the moment. I mean, I've seen kids that couldn't tie their shoes at age 10 be a stud when they get to high school. And that is what I don't want lost in this. Even though, like I said, I'm an avid travel guy, this is kind of unprecedented when it comes to this moment in time. And if I was making a decision, all right, so I can play my rec league, or I can get these kids going and playing travel.
Right.
With everything that has went on, you've got to get your rec league going.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the first focus. I mean, you put a travel team together. I mean, okay, if you got an 8U, a 10U, a 12U, boys and girls, so there's 6 teams, 10 kids. Okay, so there's 60 kids. When Wellston's
league pushes about 450. That kid.
I was gonna say, you're running 450 there.
Right.
And can I throw this out there? I've heard, this will come out wrong, but parents, I've heard coaches say, well, they just drop their kids off and they leave and they think I'm a damn babysitter. If I'm coaching your kid, feel free to use me as a babysitter.
That's what you're there for.
And I'm okay with that.
But, and did you listen to my episode with Lance?
I did.
When we talked about coaches, did you hear us? And and I was talking about, not wanting to be a teacher in the classroom.
Right.
But, that's what a good coach is, a teacher. And actually, to be honest with you, I'd rather the parents not be there.
Yeah, and I would too. And it's nothing against parents, but and I don't even really have a kid using an example, but I'm sure there's 100 of them out there after coached them for 14 or 15 years. When a parent's not there, the kids, when you tell a kid something, there's certain kids that you'll tell them something, they turn and look at mom and dad to say, it's almost like, hey, is he lying to me, or they don't. That's not there when the kids ain't there, or when the parents, ain't there. I prefer, practices, but man, on game day, I want aunts, uncles, cousins, grandmas, grandpas. I want everybody there.
6 feet from the backstop, though.
What's that?
6 feet from the backstop, though.
I don't want them behind the backstop at all.
Right.
Because frankly, I've had a few piss an umpire off, and you can see they get mad and they have words, and then we start getting our strike zone goes to this when we're batting.
Hey, let me tell you a story. We were at where were we at? South Charleston, and it was with the Wellston team that we'll kind of wrap up things with here in a minute. But we had a couple moms that were having bad days, and they were all over the umpire about balls and strikes. And I walked out to him. I called time, walked out to him, and he slings his mask off, like, and he was just, because obviously in youth baseball, what a lot of people don't understand is you cannot argue balls and strikes, or it's an automatic ejection.
Right.
So I walk out there, and he's like, and he's like, what? And I said, hey, relax. And he said, you out here to argue balls and strikes? I said, no. I said, because I can't. And he said, well, what are you doing out here? And I said, listen, you know how bad you're getting it right now from those moms? And he goes, yeah, they're pretty bad right now. And I said, I'm going to get it 10 times worse at the hotel if I didn't come out here and say something to you. And he goes, so what are you saying to me? I said, nothing. I just wanted to make an appearance. I'm going to go back to the dugout. And he goes, thank you. And I turned around, walked around, and our strike zone went from this to this. I mean,
yes. And it does make a difference. I mean, now you got some umpires that it's all about the kids. Rudy Schultz. He don't give a damn who's mad at him. He don't care about anything other than the kids there. And I've heard parents talk bad about Rudy. Oh, he talking to the kids. I'll take Rudy umpiring every single game that I'm coaching.
And while you're on Rudy, I do want to say this for anybody that listens that gets it, that prays a lot, and Rudy's wife's not doing very well.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah, and I seen it on Facebook. And anybody in the area that has ever played travel baseball or travel basketball or all-star baseball, all-star basketball knows who Rudy Schultz is. So, but not to interrupt you, Ryan, but I just
no, you're fine. You're fine.
But why, anybody that does that, shoot a prayer up for Rudy's wife, and I'm sure he's a great guy. He gets to know each kid personally, and for a guy to be like that, for his wife, I've never met personally, but I'm sure she's I'm sure she's a ball as well. But I mean, Rudy's one of the better guys I've ever met in my life.
Well, if she puts up with Rudy, she's got to be a saint.
Right. Yeah, exactly. With that being said, I mean, if anybody does, and that, not throwing prayer out there or anything like that, but anybody that would shoot a prayer out for Ruby's wife because she's not doing well.
Yeah, they're having a pretty rough time right now. So
yeah,
and I mean, you will not, especially in the sports in Southern Ohio when it comes to sports. I don't know that you'll find a person that cares more than Rudy Schultz about the kids, and that's a whole nother subject we can get into. If you're coaching or you're umpiring, if you're not there for the kids, get the hell out.
Right.
If it's not about the kids, go find something else to do. Go fishing, go hunting, go play golf, whatever. If you're not there for the kids, that's the one thing. I'm an asshole, but I'm the same asshole to everybody. Whether it's parent, kids, I treat everybody the same. Nobody should ever be able to say, "Well, he treated my kid well." No, everybody's always been treated the same. The less athletic kids, yeah, they got more attention. I'm not meaning bad attention, but at the rec league, kind of what was getting into, I'm going to use a Connor Lambert and a Will Briggs and a Noah Ernst or a Logan Martin, a Hunter Milliken. I'm going to use those kids to help me on that team develop those maybe the kids just starting out, maybe it's their first year. I'm going to use that as a tool.
And that's what I said earlier. That those kids that are better athletes at the time, better baseball players at the time, what they get out of rec league, in my opinion, is so much more valuable than swinging a bat or throwing a baseball. If it's structured correctly, they are learning how to help people.
Right.
Teaching the game helps them understand the game.
Sure.
So that they may not, Connor may go 4 for 4 with 4 home runs in a 12U game and pitch 3 innings and strike out 9 batters. But what he does in the dugout, and that's the way I always taught the more gifted kids, is, your job, this is what I want you to do to get better. You've got this guy, and this guy that are looking up to you, and you need to spend time with them. You need to have, this is a team. You've got to help him get better. You've got to use what you know and give it to him.
Well, and that was it's funny you said that, because I used to always tell Hunter, you're the smallest kid on the team, shortest and lightest, but every kid on that team, and we're talking rec, I said, looks up to you. Because of the travel stuff, and that's why I keep, when I say Will, Noah, Connor, Hunter, is really those were our 4 core guys. I mean, if you really think about it, and we added over the years and made a really good team. And to say that I was proud of those kids would be an understatement. I mean, or Josh Jackson, shit, I can't leave Josh out of that.
Don't leave Josh out. Josh Jackson was commented on our post last Saturday.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Or shared it or whatever he did. But and I've told Josh this. Josh Jackson, I could say the sky is purple right now, and Josh Jackson would want to know why, and he would want to know how it got there.
I agree.
And he would figure it out, and he would go home and work his tail off until he realized why it was purple. Josh Jackson is one of those kids that doesn't come around very often. I mean, great kid. and, you know, was an okay baseball player at 9, 10, whatever it was then. Phenomenal baseball player at the moment.
Right. Well, and that's and I shared this with his mother Mindy not too long, or I put it on Facebook. It might be one of my all-time favorite pictures. I'm trying to find it here, Jamie. So go right ahead. But when you see this, man, I mean, it really speaks volumes. And I'm trying to find it. But it's right here. It is. And this right here, believe it or not, I don't know. Can you see it? That's Josh up to bat. Big American flag there. That's Hunter on deck, as you can see.
Right.
That is the first inning of that game up in Jeffersonville that I was talking about. And Josh gets a double, and Hunter gets up, first pitch he sees, and hits it plumb over the hits it plumb over the concession stand. I mean, just a crush. But that is maybe my favorite baseball picture ever. And me and Mindy, that's one thing that me and her agree on. And it was just right here's your one, Jamie Lambert. Let's go ahead and throw this out because this was a super proud day. And here's Josh Jackson with a broken nose. This picture, guys, we won the championship down at South Charleston, correct?
South Charleston, yep.
And there is me, you, and Rob Martin. But you'll see Josh down here in the very bottom, right beside Hunter and Carson, broken nose and all.
Right.
That's him right there. But that just speaks volumes for what Josh Jackson was, and that's why I want to get into that picture. He had a broken nose, and Carson went through it, and he still played, even though doctors were saying he wasn't. I mean, because frankly, you and Rachel was just sick and tired of hearing him, bitching up about not playing ball. Josh Jackson refused to quit. He's probably my favorite kid to ever coach because he's so damn coachable.
Right.
He soaks everything in, like you said, and I like to coach him even more than my own boys, frankly, because he didn't talk back.
Right. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We got we're going to go about 8 more minutes, and that'll put us at about an hour actually. For our scheduled 30. But I knew this would. I knew this would extend. And we could continue to talk, but we can break it up over the next couple of weeks and continue to talk about it. The importance of youth baseball, youth softball is astronomical when it comes to kid development from age 6 to 12. When kids are involved in youth sports, they stay out of trouble. 2, if they get the right coach and that demands work out of them and work ethic out of them,
sure, they
end up developing a lot of things that they can take on later in life.
Right.
And comparing that to school and math class and, back to the homeschooling that I've been doing, I ask myself, every, Mondays is math day for both the boys and, it's the Common Core stuff. And, and I'm sitting there thinking, to myself, and I hope Connor and Carson doesn't watch this, but, I sit there and think, what are they doing how is this going to help them later in life? And I've got a hard problem understanding that. And I'm not, trust me, God bless all the teachers, especially after this, having to do this stuff at the house with the boys. But these youth sports are important for these kids. They're important for the development of the kids. They're important. Some of the kids that don't get anything outside of school it's extremely important for the development of the kids to be involved in something that means something to them, that makes them work to become better.
Sure.
Uh, so, again, I go back to, whoever listens to this and whatnot. What I want to say is, I know every travel team in the country, every tournament director in the country is chomping at the bit right now to start playing travel ball. And I agree. I completely agree. But those rec leagues and those little nonprofit committees that are in towns, you've got to figure a way to get the rec league into.
If not, if you don't have a rec league this year, you're putting the kids. Maybe their parents don't have time to travel. Maybe they don't have the money to travel. Maybe the kids just don't. It's a
Some kids don't want to travel.
it's a big commitment, man. A lot of kids would rather swim and go to the beach, and that's great. Live your life. But some kids, I mean, they want to travel some baseball and hang out with their buddies, and go to hotels, and they'll do their swimming there, and that's fine. But you're cutting them other kids short. You're talking 20%, if that, of Wellston's rec league will go on and do the All-Star thing, or
And let's be clear,
yeah.
I don't want to feel like we're singling Wellston out. We just know more about Wellston.
I'm
all about every rec league in the country.
I'm talking about Wellston because that's where, actually I got one son in middle school, one son in high school, and my daughter, she's in the rec league.
Sure, right.
And so the reason I'm saying Wellston is, obviously, I'm not going to bag on Wellston. I mean, if anybody loves that program.
But your percentage is right at any rec league in the country.
Sure. I mean, you're at best 20%. So what about the other 80, 85%, whatever it might be? Those kids are getting left out, and that's just not okay. Any kid that loves if a kid wants to hit baseballs, parents, message me on Facebook. I'll bring him out here in my yard and let him hit baseballs. I have nothing better to do with my time than, we've got Emery. He's just turned 5 2 months ago. He's baseball crazy. He's ready to play some ball. And his goal was to be better than Hunter. And he's a lefty. God love him for it. So I'm putting all my eggs in his basket because Hunter's he's all about basketball now. But so I got another son coming up, and he's ready to start playing, and I'm ready to start all over. So where I thought I was done with Hunter once he hit 12U and all that, now and it's a privilege, honestly, to be able to coach him kids. It's something that I take great pride in.
So that just, I guess I have to say it. To be clear, once you thought you was going to be done with, once Hunter got through 12U,
right?
What causes that, right?
Yeah, bad timing.
Huh? Not
bad timing.
Having Emery.
Yeah, bad timing. No. And anybody knows poor little Emery. He's you can definitely tell he's the baby of the bunch. He gets away with a little bit more. He's got 2 big brothers that loves to play, and honestly, Gavin, he's probably one of the best kids you'd ever meet. He's
right.
He's just a solid kid. He makes me proud every day. But he went from a kid that and this is going to be a good point for a lot of parents. It's okay for your son or your daughter to not be the all-star. It's okay for him or her to want to play with their friends, just to be part of the team. But Gavin's kind of taken that, and he's kind of ran with it some. It started out that way, and now he wants to be a solid baseball player. Is he there yet? He's getting close. He's a reliable bat. He can play 2 or 3 different positions in the field. I'd like to see an outfield get a little bit better, but just because he was always like a 8U, 10U, 12U, he was just happy to be part of the team, and be the funny kid and all that good stuff. But now he's in high school, and that's kind of changed. So that's one message to parents is just because your kid is playing and he's happy just to be playing with his buddy, let him be. Just let him be. Don't push him. If he's not ready to give up his summer for travel ball, then let it go. If he's not the all-star, let it go. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and it will never happen by pushing him.
Right. And baseball and softball is the one sport that you do not have to be athletically gifted.
No.
You just have, and what's the Pete Rose saying? I think it was Pete Rose. Was it Pete Rose or was it Babe Ruth? The saying of, how you hit a round ball with a round bat and square.
Right.
It's all timing. It's all fun. It's all. It's work ethic. If you want to be a better baseball or softball player, if you want your kid to be a better baseball or softball player, all you got to do is go in the backyard with them. Faithfully, because it takes it's a lot of work, but you don't have to have a kid that can jump out of the gym, or you don't have to have a kid that is can outrun everyone in grade school. All you have to do is have a kid that wants to play baseball and wants to work at it, and you can be a very, very solid baseball player or softball player by just flat out working at it. It's the one game that absolutely that challenges you.
Yeah.
And you are, then the other saying, which is a cliche, is, you fell 7 out of 10 at bats, and you're still in the Hall of Fame.
Well, and that's
a 300 hitter.
And we've preached that, 7 out of 10 times you're destined to fail in the game of baseball. So, and that is true. I mean, you bat a 300, I'll take a lineup full of 300 hitters all day long.
It's better if they have their hit all in a row, and then you can, the next 2 times through that, we'll just go quick through the lineup. But
right, and I've last year was my first year, and man, I did softball with Kelly Long.
Right.
Me and Kelly Long decided to throw 5 Wellston girls and 5 Benton County girls together. So let's go play tournaments. We took them down to South Charleston, down to Doug Williams' tournament time.
Yeah, tournament
Quick
time.
plug, Doug. So anyhow, and we ended up winning the damn thing. Girls got rings. It was, and we sat down there, and my daughter Kinley, she's a monster of a girl, her size, but she put on a hitting show like you wouldn't believe. I mean, just bringing them off the fences. And after it all, Doug said, "Gee, my knee, would she want to play some travel ball?" And meaning down there with them. And I said, "Man, she don't love it like that. She's here to be with her friends and to hang out." And that's the difference. If she gets that killer mentality, but it's okay to be like that. And that's the point that I'm making. I'm okay with her wanting to hang out with friends and play with her friends and just be part of the team. Kind of like my oldest son, Gavin. Now, Hunter is too competitive to think that way. But Gavin and Kinley think a lot the same way. They just they're happy to be with their friends and be part of the team, and that's okay. I mean, every kid isn't going to be the all-star.
Right. So to wrap everything up, I mean, do you really, with all the restrictions that are placed on baseball and softball opening back up, I mean, is it? Okay, let me ask this a 2-part question. question one, is it feasible to play travel ball? And question two, is it feasible to open up and play your rec leagues?
I think you've got to open up the rec league if you're going to do anything.
But what with the guidelines that are put in place?
I understand that. What I'm hoping in our community, meaning Wellston, Jackson, Benton County, I'm hoping that maybe some businesses step up. I mean, I know that, and I'm not bagging on businesses. A lot of businesses step up and they give money, but maybe they can dig a little deeper and help alleviate for the helmet thing. Maybe organizations say, hey, we're not going to try to make this much this year, which I don't think there's a whole lot of profit in it.
No, there's not. And
Right. So I don't want to dig up the wrong
I've
money.
been involved with the Make Wellston Beautiful, obviously when it first originated, and and those, Tammy Phillips, Betsy Fain, Mike Potts, Bill Kilgore, they're, great people and great people to be involved. And I'm sure that league is actually one of the ones that I personally think can sustain this, because I think they've done such great things that they can go buy bats and go buy helmets if they need to.
Right.
Which they're very fortunate that they've done a great job over the last several years. But not every league is in that situation.
No. And Make Wellston Beautiful situation is, like you said, all the people you named, I think their heads are in it for the right reason. And the volunteers, the coaches, the people working the concession stands, that parents don't realize. Jamie, how many hours a week did you and I used to spend down at that field? I mean,
I'll tell you the one thing that I would like to say to any Wellston person that is listening, as far as that league and Make Wellston Beautiful goes. Those guys and girls that coach down there, let's just start with the coaches first. I've never seen anything like it. They want to know drills. They want to know that that they want to know everything they can. That they're Googling shit. It is. I mean, it's crazy, to be honest with you. They want to know, and they want to suck. They want to be leeches and suck as much information out as they can.
Yeah.
To be able to pass it on to the kids. And one of the, and I know the other night it was kind of a bad Wellston conversation, and I was involved, and then we banged some heads, but it was nothing bad. It was just that, like I said, I mean, but there's Tammy Phillips is one of the greatest human beings I've ever met in my life. And she will do and make things happen that's amazing. As far as grants go with the state of Ohio, and I've actually even heard that they've got some grants coming up to make the place even nicer. But the coaches in Wellston are, and I've been in a couple different places. When you go into travel ball coaches, it's a little different, but I'm talking rec coaches. And from what I've seen, it's just, I mean, you have some guy that you don't even know that will walk up to you and say, hey, I'm coaching, or I'm the assistant coach for Rockets Gray.
Right.
And I seen you the other day doing this drill, with a wiffle ball bat or a wiffle ball and this small bat, and what were you doing? uh, they Wellston has always been a baseball town to me, and and actually I've talked to Jody Montgomery, Jody Usually, a couple days ago, and and hopefully Jeff Montgomery's going to be on here in the next couple weeks as well. But you can make anything you want for yourself with the game of baseball or softball. If you want to be a professional player, I mean, do it. Yeah, you like we said earlier, you do not have to have athletic ability. You just have to have work ethic.
That's the thing. You gotta outwork the next guy. I totally agree. And the city of Wellston is very blessed, and I see some posts on Facebook, people running down. But if they really only knew what goes into running that league, I mean, we know.
It's tough.
Not everybody else knows. Shit runs downhill, and you're gonna have some people that's never gonna be able to be pleased, and that's cool. But I mean, I think of on a Friday afternoon or a Friday evening, we got a tournament scheduled for Saturday, and you got them big rains. I remember one in particular is me and you and Rob Martin and John Jackson.
Right.
There were sump pumps on the middle field. Which was that? Ron Hudson.
Yeah.
We sat there on Ron Hudson field, and we was sump pumping water off. And what was doing that was wheelbarrowing in brick dust. And it's not that we're so much baseball fiends. We are, but those tournaments, guys, that's what carries the money over for the next year to allow for the kids that maybe their parents can't afford to play. Doesn't mean the parents are bad people, or it's money gets tight.
Well, and with that being said, I'm going to give me your best youth baseball or youth softball, since you got memory, your best memory, and then we're gonna wrap things up.
Brother, I would. This is probably gonna blow your mind, but we were in Bridgeport, West Virginia, and we played Flood City Elite out of I believe it's Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and they brought ages 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And I mean, when I say they swept the tournament, they swept it up. They mercy ruled everybody they played. The 10U had killed everybody, mercy ruled everybody they played, just like I said earlier, until they met Wellston. And they had us down 9-1 in the bottom of the 6th inning. And Josh Jackson led off with a double into right center field, and here we came. And we took them 13 innings and got beat in Texas shootout by 1 run in 13 innings. That was Labor Day weekend. That has to be, I mean, I was damn proud of that second place.
Well, and
what was there? 85 teams there that weekend? I mean, it was nuts.
There was over 100, but there.
Okay, yeah.
There was.
We got thrown out of a pool that night.
Huh?
We got thrown out of a pool that night.
That was your fault.
That was all your fault. And then you decided to have a damn pillow fight with the kids about got thrown out of the hotel.
Well,
but anyhow.
Here's the thing. The little sons of guns shouldn't be trying to cheat shot me. But I remember that night, and I remember we were at the Bridgeport complex, and if no one's ever seen it, go check it out. Online. It's a state-of-the-art facility. I mean, one of the better ones we've ever played on, and we've been to Pigeon Forge and some other places. But the best thing is we had like all the other, it was a wagon wheel, so all the other 3 fields were done, and everyone that finished their games gravitated towards our game, and we had, yeah, I mean, we had a hell of a cheering section, going on, because
Yeah, everybody wanted to beat them.
for us to win, because as the underdog. But that was, I made that 3 hour drive home that night. With, I mean, grinning ear to ear, and not because we won a trophy, and not because we took a team like that, as far as we did, but just from the standpoint that the kids never gave up, and it wasn't a coaching job. It was guys like Josh Jackson, who was in the dugout. We're not done yet. I remember him yelling it like it was yesterday. We're not done yet. Find a way on base. We had superb kids that worked their butts off for a couple of years, and then we were successful because of it. And those kids are still successful today. With what they learned from the game. And but the one thing that that I wanted to touch on to wrap it up, that there was a tournament, and not the rain tournament that you're talking about, but there was another tournament that that we had in Wellston, and it snowed on Friday night.
I remember you was mowing their grass and I couldn't see you. I could hear the lawnmower, but I couldn't see you.
Right, and it was snowing, or it snowed. It wasn't snowing Saturday, but me and a couple other guys, John Jackson, Rob Martin, which don't get a lot of credit in the Make Wellston Beautiful thing, but I will sit here for 30 seconds. If it wasn't for yourself and John Jackson and Joe Briggs and Shane Stevens and Rob Martin, Make Wellston Beautiful would not be where they're at right now. And that's not a slam. That's just we needed help to get it going, and those guys did anything under the sun that we needed. So, we got 2 inches of snow on a baseball field on Saturday morning. Tournament was supposed to start on Saturday morning. So, we juggle shit around, and we make it a 1-day tournament on Sunday. And we got the Pearl Kaiser field was ready to go. The Cecil Arthur field was ready to go. We went to drag. The Ron Hudson field was done. It was wet, and it was done. The Sil Geitz field, we were trying to run mail drag through, and we couldn't because there was so much damn ice on it.
Yeah.
So so I'm like, okay, we can play on this. At 8:30 Sunday morning, we can play on it. And and I don't remember who it was. It might have been Rob. Well, Jamie, what are you going to do when it falls out? I said, well, I don't know. I guess we'll figure that out when it happens. And it thawed out, and it was a muddy mess. But the story with that I want to wrap things up with is travel ball. I love it. It's important. It's these trophies behind me that my kids. I've got great memories with them. I've got great memories with other kids that have played for me, played for us. Rec league directors, groups, nonprofit organizations, whoever you are that listens to this, find a way to make the rec season happen. And don't get me wrong, trust me, I want my kids to play in as many travel tournaments as possible this summer. My kids are older, but they're not 6, 7, and 8. They're not 9 and 10. Find a way. You guys can find a way to make it happen. And you've got all summer long to figure it out. And it's not, I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying rec leagues are so important to the country, to the development of kids, that it has to happen. And if you lose a year, you might lose, in some leagues, you might lose 100 kids. If they don't play 1 year, you might lose 100 kids.
Sure.
So figure a way out to make it happen.
No, I couldn't agree anymore. There's probably not two bigger advocates for rec league than you and I. And I know that with our travel team, that was one thing we asked parents and kids was, you really need to play in the rec league. Which with our group, we never really had to fight that off too much because the kids just want to play as much baseball as possible.
Right.
But we always kind of laid it out there. Hey, rec league is just as important, if not more important. So I don't think there's two other guys that's going to push the rec league quite like me and you would. It's very important, and people really need to see that the travel thing comes second. I just got a text message, Kelly Long. If you're watching, I will get back a hold of you very soon. Just message me, hey, what's going on? Let's get the girls together. That's what I want.
Right.
All
right, so we have obviously we've talked ourselves green in the face tonight, but this week coming up, it's I got Coach Camden in the morning that we're going to discuss the dynamics of if anyone's ever watched Sports Science, we're going to try to break down the trick play as best as possible. Where
you got a guy on third and you fall down in between first and second, walk in I thought you was going to kill me, brother. You remember South Charleston? I had Asher Robinson, Pepper's son, and I said, Asher, get in, run out there, get in, because Carson was on third, and I said, get out there and fall down. He said, what? I mean, right. He was happy. I said, get down there and fall down. We only have one out. And I said, fall down. I said, no kid is going to resist that free out.
Well, and that's, we did it so many times one weekend with Carson that the umpire actually, it was like the third game we did it, and it worked all 3 times.
Yeah.
But the third game we did it, the ump actually went out and called the field crew and said, there's got to be a spot here. These kids keep falling between second and third. So I walk out and I'm, shut the hell down. I said, it's a play. And he's like, what? And I said, yeah, it's a play. So Coach Camden's going to be on in the morning doing that. The Knuckleheads out of Winfield, West Virginia, have been one of the top travel ball teams in the, honestly, probably in the nation the last couple of years. The guy's name's Jay Cox. He's been turkey hunting all week, which he's an avid hunter, but he's going to be on. And then we hope to get Doug Williamson on too with Tournament Time, and discuss what their plans are on how their tournaments are being adjusted and handled and all that stuff going into the summer. So for the next week or so, we're going to be talking youth baseball, youth softball. So it's the place to kind of hear the information, hear what's going on. Ryan, I guess would you rather be pepper and sugar or sugar and pepper?
Buddy, you got the gray, so you got the pepper all over you.
Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, no way. After last week's comment, you're pepper this week.
I'll be pepper. I'll be Pepper. I mean, I felt that it was racially biased, but I wasn't real sure, so that's why I was asking Craig. Um, but real quick, when any team, if there's any travel coaches watching this, I'm sure there is, if you do not take your team to play at South Charleston, West Virginia with Doug Williamson and his gang, you don't know what you're missing. I mean, you agree with that, Jamie? I mean,
Yeah, Doug and Chad and the gang out of Logan, West Virginia. What's her name? Ashley Blankenship pictures and post them on Facebook. Yeah. I mean, top notch tournaments. Games usually on time. Good umpires. Yeah, I mean, there's not a bad thing I can say about them. So if you are listening to this and you're looking for somewhere to play, I think it's tournamenttimewv.com.
yeah, Tournament Time LLC will also take you there. Guys, you won't find a better set of tournaments, whether it's baseball, softball. We've played many. Good Lord, we've played many baseball tournaments. I took the girls down last year. I taught Kelly Long. We had a team put together. I got everybody on board. They trusted me, so it really had to happen and pull through. I tell you, Chad and Doug was, obviously were over that, and they did nothing was a disappointment that weekend. The girls had never seen turf fields a day before in their life. They got to play on turf. They didn't know what to think about that. So it's I know it's a quick plug and all that, but if you haven't ever played with those guys down there at their tournaments, you probably ought to. It's a really good experience for everybody.
Right. And so, Ryan, thanks for being on tonight. We'll be on next week. Again, hopefully, hopefully we find Pepper.
I told you he went to shit the dogs or the hogs ate him.
Well, he may have, and I mean, maybe I should start taking resumes to replace his ass.
Well, I don't know. It's going to be hard to replace him.
Well, we'll see. I've actually got I got a missing photo out. He's on a milk carton this week over in Point. So hopefully we'll find him. But again, thanks for being on. Enjoy talking with you. Hopefully people listen to this, and we'll be on next week. Salt, pepper. Don't forget the sugar. And then, like I said, we've got some other youth baseball things coming up this week that's going to be pretty good. So hope to see y'all out. Share the links, like the page, and if you like listening to two guys drinking beer, talking sports. But we'll see you next time.